Kakbhushundi arrived under the banyan tree, mentally invoked Sri Ram, and began the story. Sri Ram met everyone from Ayodhya who had arrived at Chitrakoot. When Rishi Vashisht gave him the sad news about Raja Dashrath's passing away, Ram wept with grief, knowing full well that the cause of the king's death was excessive love for him, Ram. The inhabitants of Ayodhya quickly settled down happily in the forest and were overjoyed at the opportunity of beholding Sri Ram and Sita Devi every day. Bharat's fears of being blamed for his mother's deeds were set to rest by the love that Sri Ram and Sita Devi showered on him. While everyone was thus in a state of euphoria, news was suddenly received that Raja Janak too had arrived in the forest to meet Sri Ram. Raja Janak had been informed of all that had taken place in Ayodhya, and he was most anxious. To get a clear picture of the situation, he had first sent messengers to Ayodhya. What he specifically wanted to ascertain was Bharat's sentiments after Ram's departure for the forest. When the messengers informed him that Bharat was on his way to meet Sri Ram in the forest, Raja Janak was most delighted, and he decided to proceed to Chitrakoot as well. Raja Janak and his party were welcomed by Rishi Vashisht, several Munis, Sri Ram and his brothers. Sita Devi was happy to meet her parents and loved ones. First, the two sides expressed grief over the demise of Raja Dashrath. Everyone abstained from food and water that day. Even the animals and birds refrained from eating and drinking because they too felt the grief of everyone. Sri Ram was most uncomfortable with the presence of all these visitors. It pained him immensely to see the discomfort and hardship that the people were enduring in the forest, and he was keen for all of them to return. The people, however, did not feel that way. The Kamadgiri mountain on which Ram resided means the mountain that fulfills all desires. Giri means mountain, and Kamada means the fulfiller of all desires. The mountain was like the wish-fulfilling tree. As it is, there was no shortage of anything here. But with the presence of Sri Ram and Sita Devi, all of nature became even more abundant. As a result, everyone was in a state of bliss and no one experienced any discomfort. As for Raja Janak, continued Kakbhushundi, he marveled at the relationship between Ram and Bharat. The bond of love and trust between the two brothers he saw was of a very exalted order, something that was beyond the understanding of everyone. Bharat's love represented the acme of devotion, and Raja Janak realized that Bharat's goal, the means to attain it, and its fulfillment was just one: love for Ram. And Raja Janak understood that he had no cause for worry. Bharat would never do anything contrary to the wishes of Sri Ram. The next morning, Rishi Vashisht called all the elders from both sides to meet in an assembly. He wanted Raja Janak to take a decision on the next course of action, a decision about what they should all do, a decision that would be in accordance with Dharma and which would benefit everyone. The party from Ayodhya had all arrived with the intention of crowning Sri Ram and taking him back to Ayodhya. But no one seemed to be taking any initiative in that direction. Raja Janak began by declaring that Sri Ram had come to the forest to honor his father's words. Therefore, what could he now advise the prince? Whatever he said, whether for Ram to return to Ayodhya or for them to leave Ram in the forest and return, would pose a dilemma. After much deliberation, everyone present decided to call Bharat. Bharat had no solution to offer. He insisted that he was a mere sevak of Ram, and sevaks are only used to receiving instructions. Therefore, it was for Sri Ram to tell him what to do. In their hearts, everyone knew that ultimately, whatever happened would be as per Sri Ram's will. So finally, it was Sri Ram who had to decide on the course of action. Ram stated that his father had upheld the truth, and in order to do so, his father had had to renounce him. Bharat too now needed to uphold the promise of his father. Therefore, it was for Bharat to rule the kingdom and think of the subjects. By ruling over Ayodhya, Bharat would help Ram honor his father's vow. It was imperative for both of them to uphold their father's promise, for that was the highest dharma. Even if Bharat did not wish to be king, said Ram, Ayodhya and its governance would still be his responsibility. All his brothers, said Ram, had shared this sorrow, and he assured Bharat that he recognized how difficult the coming 14 years would be for him. But with the blessings of the Guru and Raja Janak, everything would proceed smoothly. Therefore, Bharat's fears were baseless. Kakbhushundi paused and, looking intently at his audience, said, "The greatest spiritual practice for any seeker is to obey instructions." Bharat did not argue. He only asked for Sri Ram's padukas or wooden slippers, which he said would represent Sri Ram on the throne. Padukas are important because they support the feet, and the feet are what a person stands on. They thus symbolize the knowledge, principles, and ideals that the person who wears them lives by. And that is what makes the padukas worthy of devotion. By placing them on the throne, Bharat would declare to the people of Ayodhya that Sri Ram was the king and that he, Bharat, was only a sevak, looking after the kingdom until the return of its king. Kakbhushundi then fell silent and seemed lost in love for Bharat. With utmost devotion, the birds bowed down to him and then quietly faded into the evening shadows.